Every person dreams of success. Some want a better career. Some want a healthy body. Some want peace of mind. But most people fail to reach their goals. The reason is not lack of talent. The reason is not lack of ideas. The true reason is lack of discipline. Discipline is the hidden engine behind every achievement. It is the power that makes you wake up early when you want to sleep more. It is the strength that makes you work when you feel tired. It is the focus that keeps you moving when distractions try to steal your time. Without discipline, even the most gifted people waste their potential. With discipline, even ordinary people can reach greatness. The author explains that discipline is not about punishment. It is not about living a boring life. It is about freedom. Freedom from regret. Freedom from laziness. Freedom from lost opportunities. When you choose discipline, you are choosing to respect your future self. This book is your guide to building discipline step by step. It will show why discipline is more powerful than motivation. It will teach how to create routines and habits that last. It will give tools to fight procrastination and control impulses. It will reveal how discipline can improve health, work, and relationships. Discipline is like a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger it becomes. But first you must understand what discipline really is. That is where our journey begins. So let us move to next chapter. Chapter 1. What is discipline? When people hear the word discipline, they often think of strict rules, punishments, or a military lifestyle. They imagine a life without fun, full of control and restrictions. But this is a misunderstanding. The real meaning of discipline is much deeper and much more positive. Discipline is the ability to guide yourself. It is the strength to choose actions that serve your future instead of actions that only serve your present mood. It is the habit of doing what you should do, even when you do not feel like doing it. Discipline is not about removing happiness. It is about creating a path where happiness, success, and peace can grow. Think about a farmer. He wakes up early to plant seeds in the soil. Some days the sun is hot. Some days he feels tired. But he still goes to the field, because he knows that if he stays in bed, the seeds will never grow. Months later, those small daily actions turn into food for his family. That is discipline in action. Discipline is not controlled by emotions. It is controlled by decisions. When you depend on emotions, you will act only when you feel motivated. But motivation rises and falls like waves. One day you feel inspired. The next day you feel lazy. If you only depend on motivation, you will never complete big goals. Discipline is the anchor that holds you steady no matter how the waves of emotion change. The author explains that discipline is the bridge between dreams and reality. Everyone dreams. Everyone has ideas. But without discipline, those dreams remain in the mind. Only discipline can move them into action. A writer who wants to finish a book must sit every day and write. An athlete who wants to win must train daily, even when it hurts. An entrepreneur who wants success must keep working when others stop. It is discipline that separates those who try from those who achieve. Another way to understand discipline is to see it as self-respect. When you keep promises to yourself, you show that your goals matter. When you skip promises, you show that your comfort matters more than your growth. The author reminds us that every time you follow discipline, you are proving to yourself that you can be trusted. And trust in yourself builds confidence. Discipline is not built in a single day. It is built step by step. Just as a child learns to walk by taking one step at a time, discipline grows by small, consistent actions. The key is repetition. When you repeat the right action many times, it becomes natural. Brushing your teeth was once difficult as a child, but today you do it without thinking. That is what discipline can do with any habit. It can turn effort into automatic behavior. At the same time, the author warns us not to confuse discipline with perfection. You do not need to be perfect to be disciplined. You only need to be consistent. If you fail one day, it does not mean you are not disciplined. It means you are human. Discipline is about getting back on track the next day. It is about winning more days than you lose. To make it simple, discipline is the art of choosing long-term satisfaction over short-term pleasure. It is saying yes to growth and no to distraction. It is the ability to act with purpose rather than emotion. Once you understand this definition, discipline stops being a scary word. It becomes a powerful tool, a tool that anyone can build. But if discipline is so important, why do so many people fail to practice it? Why do people set goals but never finish them? Why do people know the right thing, yet still do the wrong thing? The answer lies in the next chapter. Chapter 2. Why people fail without discipline. Every person has dreams and goals. They want to be fit. They want to save money. They want to learn a new skill. They start with excitement. But soon that excitement begins to fade. What begins with energy often ends with excuses. Why does this happen? The author explains that most people do not fail because their goals are impossible. They fail because they do not have the discipline to keep moving when things get difficult. Without discipline, emotions control decisions, and emotions are unstable. One day you feel motivated and take action. The next day you feel tired and do nothing. This pattern repeats until the dream slowly dies. Think about a student preparing for an exam. He decides to study 2 hours daily. The first day he feels inspired and studies. The second day he feels a little lazy, but still manages to read. By the third day, a friend calls him to go out. He tells himself he will skip just 1 day. Soon 1 day becomes 2. 2 days become a week. By the end of the month, the exam is near and he is unprepared. This is how lack of discipline destroys progress. Another reason people fail is that they chase comfort. The human mind loves comfort. It loves quick pleasure. It loves avoiding pain. That is why people choose fast food instead of cooking. That is why they watch television instead of working out. That is why they scroll on their phone instead of studying. Comfort feels good in the moment, but steals success in the future. Discipline is what forces you to sacrifice comfort for growth. Without it, you remain trapped in short-term pleasure, while long-term goals remain unfinished. The author also describes the trap of procrastination. Many people say they will start tomorrow. Tomorrow becomes next week. Next week becomes next month. This endless delay is one of the biggest reasons people fail. Without discipline to act now, the habit of waiting becomes permanent. Another important point is that without discipline, people become victims of excuses. They tell themselves stories like, "I do not have time. I am too tired. I will wait for the right moment." But the truth is, there is never a perfect moment. Discipline teaches you to act even when conditions are not perfect. Without it, excuses win, and progress is lost. Failure without discipline is not only about lost goals. It also damages self-belief. When you promise yourself you will do something, and you break that promise, you begin to lose trust in yourself. You start to believe you are weak. You think success is only for others. This negative cycle makes it even harder to start again. But discipline breaks this cycle by creating proof of action. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you rebuild confidence. The author makes it clear. Dreams die not because they are too big, but because people give up too soon. And they give up too soon because they lack discipline. Motivation may start the journey, but discipline is what keeps the journey alive. Without discipline, your dreams remain dreams. With discipline, your dreams become reality. This chapter is a warning. It shows us what happens when discipline is missing. It shows us how easy it is to lose focus and how quickly goals disappear. But the book does not leave us in despair. In the next chapter, the author explains how we can build the right mindset for discipline. Because discipline is not just about rules. It is about the way we think and the way we see ourselves. That is where true change begins. Chapter 3. Building the Mindset of Discipline. Before you can practice discipline in your daily life, you must first build the mindset that supports it. The author explains that discipline is not only about action. It begins with thought. If your thoughts are weak, your actions will collapse. If your thoughts are strong, your actions will follow. Many people see discipline as punishment. They think discipline means no fun. They think it means a hard life. This is the wrong mindset. The right way to see discipline is as self-respect. It is not about forcing yourself. It is about honoring your future self by making good choices today. The author gives a powerful idea. Discipline is freedom. It sounds strange at first, but when you look closer, you understand. If you eat with discipline, you enjoy freedom from sickness. If you work with discipline, you enjoy freedom from financial stress. If you control your emotions with discipline, you enjoy freedom from regret. Discipline does not lock you, it frees you. Another mindset shift is to focus on growth instead of comfort. The brain always looks for comfort. It wants to avoid pain. But comfort does not bring progress. Growth does. Growth is sometimes uncomfortable. But the mindset of discipline accepts that discomfort today creates strength tomorrow. The person who goes for a run in the morning may feel tired for 1 hour, but he feels healthy for many years. This is the reward of discipline. The author also explains that discipline is a skill, not a talent. This means anyone can build it. You do not need to be born with special strength. You only need the right mindset and daily practice. When you fail, it does not mean you are weak. It only means you are still learning. The mindset of discipline forgives failure, but does not accept quitting. A strong mindset also knows how to use identity. When you see yourself as a disciplined person, you act like one. If you tell yourself, "I am lazy," then you behave lazy. If you tell yourself, "I am focused and disciplined," then you behave with focus. Your identity guides your actions. That is why the author suggests repeating positive affirmations. Simple sentences like, "I can control myself," "I respect my goals," "I finish what I start." Over time, these words shape the mind and guide your actions. The author also warns against comparing yourself with others. Discipline is a personal journey. When you compare, you lose focus. You feel jealous or discouraged. But when you focus on your own path, you grow step by step. The right mindset is to compete only with yourself, to be better today than you were yesterday. Another part of mindset is patience. Discipline does not bring results overnight. It requires time. The seed does not turn into a tree in one day. It takes months and years. The disciplined person accepts this truth. He enjoys the process and trusts the results will come. The author also explains the role of purpose. If your goals are clear, discipline becomes easier. When you know why you are working hard, you can push through discomfort. Purpose gives energy. Without purpose, discipline feels heavy. With purpose, discipline feels meaningful. So the right mindset always connects discipline to a deeper reason. In simple words, the mindset of discipline is made of self-respect, growth over comfort, identity, patience, and purpose. When these beliefs are in your mind, actions of discipline become natural. This is how real transformation begins. Now that we understand the mindset, the next step is to build habits. Because discipline is not only about strong thoughts, it is also about small daily actions that repeat again and again. That is the topic of the next chapter. Chapter 4. Small habits lead to big discipline. Many people imagine discipline as something huge. They think they must make dramatic changes. Wake up at 5 every morning, run 10 kilometers, work 12 hours without rest. But the author explains that discipline does not grow from big actions. It grows from small habits. Small habits may look simple, but they are powerful. Brushing your teeth, making your bed, writing 1 page, drinking water after waking up. These small actions do not take much effort, but when you repeat them daily, they create structure. This structure becomes the foundation of bigger discipline. The author compares habits to bricks. Each habit is a single brick. 1 brick looks small, but when you place brick after brick, you can build a wall. In the same way, 1 habit looks small, but when you combine many habits, you build a strong life. Why do small habits matter so much? Because the brain learns through repetition. Every time you repeat an action, your brain creates a path. The more you repeat, the stronger the path becomes. At first it feels difficult. Later it feels automatic. Think about learning to ride a bicycle. At the beginning, you fall. With practice, your brain learns balance. Soon, you ride without thinking. This is how habits turn discipline into natural behavior. Another reason small habits work is because they reduce resistance. Big goals feel scary. If you say, "I will write a whole book," the task feels too heavy. But if you say, "I will write 1 page every day," it feels possible. Small habits remove fear and create progress. Step by step, the book gets finished. The author gives practical advice. Start with 1 or 2 habits only. Do not try to change your entire life in 1 day. Choose habits that are simple and clear. For example, read for 10 minutes, walk for 15 minutes, drink more water. When you master these habits, add new ones. Slowly, your discipline will expand without feeling overwhelming. Another key is consistency. Discipline is not about doing a habit once. It is about doing it daily. Even if you do it in a small way, it still counts. If you cannot run 5 kilometers, run 1. If you cannot study 2 hours, study 20 minutes. The power is in showing up every day. The habit grows stronger each time you repeat it. The author also explains the importance of linking habits together. This is called habit stacking. For example, after brushing your teeth, you drink water. After drinking water, you stretch for 5 minutes. When habits are linked, they become harder to forget. One action reminds you of the next. Soon, you build a chain of discipline. Small habits also create identity. When you write every day, you begin to see yourself as a writer. When you exercise daily, you see yourself as a healthy person. When you save money regularly, you see yourself as responsible. Identity strengthens discipline because you want to act in line with who you believe you are. Some people ask, "What if I miss a day?" The author says, do not panic. Missing once is not the problem. The problem is missing again and again. The rule is never miss 2 days in a row. If you fall today, stand up tomorrow. This way the habit continues and discipline stays alive. In the end, small habits are the building blocks of discipline. They turn big dreams into small steps. They remove fear. They create identity. They shape the brain to act with consistency. This is why the author calls habits the secret engine of discipline. But small habits need something else to stay alive. They need self-control. Because everyday temptations will try to break your habits. Temptations to delay. Temptations to quit. Temptations to choose comfort. To fight these temptations, you must learn self-control. That is the subject of the next chapter. Chapter 5. The role of self-control. Discipline and self-control are like 2 sides of the same coin. Discipline is the habit of acting in the right way. Self-control is the ability to resist impulses that distract you from the right action. Without self-control, discipline becomes weak. With self-control, discipline becomes strong and reliable. Every day, life presents many temptations. The phone buzzes. The bed feels warm. The snack looks delicious. The easiest choice is to give in. But giving in again and again weakens your progress. Self-control is what allows you to pause before giving in. It gives you the power to say no to immediate pleasure and yes to long-term benefit. The author explains that self-control is like a muscle. It can grow stronger with practice. At first, saying no feels difficult. You feel resistance. But each time you practice it, becomes easier. Your brain begins to respond automatically to the right choices. You stop being a slave to every urge. One way to strengthen self-control is through small challenges. For example, do not eat sweets for 1 day. Do not scroll your phone for an hour. Get up as soon as the alarm rings. These small victories build confidence. They show you that you are capable of choosing what matters. Another method is to remove temptations before they appear. If you want to eat healthy, remove junk food from the house. If you want to focus on work, turn off notifications. If you want to save money, avoid unnecessary stores and online shopping apps. Self-control is easier when the environment supports your goals. The author also points out that self-control is not about punishment. It is about choice. Every time you exercise self-control, you are making a conscious choice for your future. This strengthens your discipline and builds trust with yourself. You prove that your long-term goals are more important than short-term comfort. Self-control also helps in decision-making. The more control you have over impulses, the clearer your choices become. You avoid acting on emotions that might be temporary. Instead, you act on logic, purpose, and planning. This reduces regret and increases effectiveness in life. Another key idea is delaying gratification. People who cannot wait often fail to achieve big goals. The author explains that self-control allows you to delay small pleasures in exchange for bigger rewards. For example, studying today may feel hard, but it leads to success tomorrow. Exercising today may feel uncomfortable, but it leads to health in the future. Self-control teaches patience and long-term thinking. The author warns against using willpower alone. Willpower is limited. If you rely only on it, you will feel exhausted. That is why habits are important. Self-control combined with strong habits makes discipline easier. Habits reduce the need to make constant decisions. Self-control is then used only for challenges that cannot be automated. Finally, self-control is not about being perfect. You may give in sometimes. That is natural. What matters is returning to the right path quickly. Each act of self-control strengthens the mind and builds the foundation for bigger discipline. Self-control is the bridge between intention and action. It is the force that allows small habits to grow into powerful routines. It is the power that keeps procrastination, distraction, and bad habits away. Once self-control is built, your discipline becomes reliable. And reliable discipline leads to lasting results. Now that we understand the role of self-control, it is time to focus on breaking bad habits. Because even with strong self-control, bad habits can slow your progress. The next chapter explains how to identify and replace them. Chapter 6. Breaking Bad Habits. Bad habits are the biggest enemies of discipline. They waste time, energy, and focus. Even when you have good intentions, bad habits pull you back. They keep you stuck in a cycle of comfort and distraction. The first step to breaking a bad habit is awareness. You must notice it clearly. Many people do not realize how often they act against their own goals. For example, checking social media every hour may seem small, but over days and weeks, it adds up to lost hours. Awareness is the first tool to fight this quietly dangerous problem. The next step is replacement. Do not only try to stop a bad habit, replace it with a good one. For example, instead of eating sweets when stressed, drink water or take a short walk. Instead of scrolling your phone when bored, read a few pages of a book. The key is to give your brain something better to do. This way, you do not feel deprived. You feel guided toward growth. The author explains that repetition is essential. Breaking a habit once does not make it disappear. You must act consistently until the new habit becomes automatic. The brain builds new paths when actions are repeated. Old paths connected to bad habits slowly weaken. New paths connected to better actions grow stronger. Another important strategy is understanding triggers. Habits are often automatic responses to certain situations. Stress, boredom, fear, or even specific times of the day can trigger bad habits. Once you know your triggers, you can prepare alternatives. For example, if stress makes you snack, plan a healthy snack or a quick walk in advance. This makes self-control easier because your brain is ready for the challenge. The author also warns about perfectionism. You will slip sometimes. You may give in to a bad habit once or twice. This is normal. Do not use failure as an excuse to give up. What matters is getting back on track immediately. Discipline is built by returning to the path, not by never falling. Support systems help a lot. Tell someone you trust about your goals. Ask them to check on your progress. Having accountability strengthens commitment. When someone else is aware of your actions, it becomes harder to ignore your goals. Friends, family, or mentors can provide encouragement and reminders. The author emphasizes patience. Breaking bad habits takes time. The brain is comfortable with old routines. It resists change. Do not expect immediate results. Celebrate small victories and understand that progress is gradual. Every small improvement matters and adds up over time. In addition, environment plays a key role. Remove objects, situations, or reminders that trigger bad habits. If you want to stop eating junk food, do not keep it at home. If you want to focus on work, clean your desk and remove distractions. The environment should support the new habits, not fight them. Finally, track your progress. Writing down successes and failures helps you stay aware. It allows reflection and adjustments. When you see improvement over time, you feel motivated to continue. Bad habits shrink when you combine awareness, replacement, consistency, triggers, environment, and accountability. Breaking bad habits clears the path for good routines. It allows discipline to grow stronger and habits to align with your goals. But to make these routines reliable, you need structure in daily life. That is why the next chapter focuses on the power of routine. Chapter 7. The Power of Routine. Discipline is easier when your life has structure. This is where routines become powerful. A routine is a set of actions done in a consistent order every day. It removes chaos, reduces stress, and strengthens discipline. When you wake up at the same time every day, your body and mind adjust naturally. Your energy flows in predictable patterns. When you follow a morning routine, you start the day with clarity. Instead of deciding each morning what to do, your actions become automatic. This saves mental energy for more important tasks. The author explains that routines protect you from procrastination. When every action is planned, the brain does not waste time deciding. If your morning routine includes exercise, meditation, and writing, you do not need to ask yourself each morning if you will do these things. You simply follow the routine. This removes the chance to delay or make excuses. Even evening routines are important. A consistent bedtime, journaling, and planning for the next day help the brain rest and recharge. Sleep quality improves, stress decreases, and focus increases. The author reminds us that routines create a rhythm in life. This rhythm makes discipline feel natural rather than forced. Routines also strengthen habits. Habits are small actions repeated over time. When habits are placed in a routine, they are reinforced automatically. For example, if you drink water after waking up every day, it becomes part of your routine and no longer requires conscious effort. Over time, this builds a strong chain of productive actions. Another benefit of routines is mental clarity. When your daily actions are structured, you know exactly what to focus on. Decisions are minimized. Your mind is free to solve bigger problems. This is why highly successful people often have strict routines. They conserve mental energy for important work rather than wasting it on small choices. The author also emphasizes flexibility within routines. Life is unpredictable. Sometimes emergencies or changes occur. A good routine allows small adjustments without breaking the overall structure. For example, if you miss your morning run, you can do a short exercise later without feeling guilty. Discipline grows not from perfection, but from returning to routine after interruptions. Routines are also a signal to your environment and to yourself. They tell your brain that it is time to act. When the alarm rings at the same time each day, your body prepares for action. When you sit at your desk at the same hour, your mind focuses automatically. These cues make self-control easier because the brain expects the right behavior. Another key point is starting small. Do not try to create a long, perfect routine in one day. Start with a few key actions and gradually add more. This prevents overwhelm and increases the chance of long-term consistency. Once a routine becomes habit, it feels effortless. Finally, routines build long-term discipline. They reduce reliance on motivation. They transform good intentions into automatic actions. They shape the way you live every day. Through routines, discipline becomes part of your identity. But even with routines in place, motivation can still be helpful to start actions. Motivation gives the spark, but routines keep the fire alive. The next chapter explains the relationship between motivation and discipline and how to use both together. Chapter 8. Motivation and Discipline. Many people believe motivation is the key to success. They think if they feel inspired, everything will fall into place. The author explains that this is only partially true. Motivation is important to start, but it is not enough to finish. Motivation is like a spark. It can light a fire, but without fuel, the fire goes out. Discipline is the fuel that keeps the fire burning. When motivation fades, discipline carries you forward. Without discipline, even the most motivated person will fail. The author gives an example of a writer. A writer may feel motivated to start a book. The first few days are full of energy, but soon distractions appear. Tiredness sets in. Without discipline, the writer stops. With discipline, the writer continues, one page at a time, until the book is finished. Motivation can also be unreliable because it is emotional. It rises and falls like the waves of the sea. One day you feel inspired. The next day you feel lazy. If you depend only on feelings, you will be inconsistent. Discipline, however, is consistent. It does not depend on how you feel. It depends on your habits, routines, and decisions. The author explains how to combine motivation and discipline. Use motivation to start new habits and projects. Let motivation create excitement and energy. Then use discipline to maintain the actions after the initial excitement fades. This combination creates long-lasting results. Another important point is understanding your why. Motivation is stronger when linked to purpose. When you know why you are working hard, it is easier to act even when you feel tired. Purpose turns short-term effort into long-term commitment. Discipline without purpose feels like a burden. Discipline with purpose feels meaningful. The author also mentions that discipline is built gradually. Start small with simple habits. Use motivation to push through the first steps, then rely on discipline to continue consistently. Over time, actions become automatic and motivation becomes less critical. Discipline is also more reliable than motivation in challenging times. Life is unpredictable. Distractions, stress, and obstacles appear. Motivation alone cannot overcome these challenges. Discipline, however, ensures that progress continues. It keeps you moving forward even when you do not feel like it. Another key idea is self-monitoring. Tracking progress makes both motivation and discipline more effective. When you see results from consistent action, motivation increases. Discipline becomes easier because you know your efforts are producing results. This creates a positive feedback loop that strengthens both motivation and habits. The author reminds readers that discipline does not remove joy. It allows consistent work while still enjoying life. Motivation creates excitement. Discipline creates reliability. Together, they form the foundation of success. Finally, the chapter ends with the idea that discipline is the long-term power and motivation is the short-term spark. The spark can start the journey. The fuel ensures you reach the destination. Now that we understand this balance, the next chapter shows how discipline applies to health. Chapter 9. Self-discipline in health. Health is one of the first areas where discipline is tested. Without control over your body and habits, other areas of life become harder to manage. The author explains that your body is like a machine. If it is not maintained properly, it will slow down, break, or fail to perform at its best. Discipline is the key to keeping it strong and efficient. Self-discipline in health begins with simple actions. Eating the right food, exercising regularly, getting enough sleep, drinking water, avoiding harmful substances. These may seem small, but when repeated consistently, they have a huge impact over time. The author highlights the importance of routine in health. Waking up at the same time, eating meals at consistent hours, and exercising at a set time train your body and mind. The body adapts to the rhythm. Energy levels improve. Focus increases. Discipline transforms health into a predictable, manageable area of life. Another important point is resisting temptations. Junk food, alcohol, smoking, or late-night distractions may feel enjoyable in the moment, but they harm long-term health. Self-control helps you choose actions that benefit your future self. Each healthy decision strengthens both your body and your discipline. The author explains that small changes are more sustainable than drastic ones. Trying to completely change your diet overnight often fails. Starting with one healthy habit at a time works better. For example, drinking a glass of water in the morning adding a short walk, or replacing one snack with fruit. Gradually, these small changes become automatic. They build momentum for bigger health improvements. Exercise is another area where discipline matters most. The body may resist movement, especially after a long day. Motivation can help start, but discipline keeps you consistent. Even a short workout done regularly is better than intense exercise done sporadically. Consistency creates results. Sleep is also critical. Many people sacrifice sleep for work, entertainment, or social media. But lack of rest reduces focus, energy, and emotional control. Discipline ensures you prioritize rest. A regular sleep schedule trains the brain and body to perform optimally. The author reminds us that health habits influence other areas of life. A healthy body supports mental clarity. Mental clarity improves work performance. Energy from exercise and good food makes it easier to maintain routines and habits in other areas. Self-discipline in health is therefore a foundation for overall success. Another key point is self-accountability. Track your meals, water intake, and workouts. Even simple notes or apps help maintain consistency. Seeing progress encourages persistence and reinforces discipline. The chapter concludes with a clear message. Discipline in health is not about perfection. It is about making better choices most of the time. It is about small, consistent actions that accumulate into significant results. When you master self-discipline in health, your body and mind become strong allies for every goal in life. The next chapter explains how this same self-discipline applies to work and productivity. Chapter 10. Self-discipline in work. Discipline in work is one of the most important skills for success. No matter how talented or creative a person is, without consistent effort, results will be limited. The author explains that self-discipline in work is about focus, consistency, and reliability. One key aspect is completing tasks on time. Many people procrastinate or delay important work. Discipline teaches you to act immediately and follow through. Finishing tasks on schedule builds trust with yourself and others. It also reduces stress because unfinished work does not pile up. Another important point is avoiding distractions. The modern world is full of interruptions. Phones, emails, social media, and unnecessary meetings steal time and energy. Self-discipline allows you to focus on what really matters. You learn to say no to distractions and yes to productive work. Over time, this focused effort multiplies results. The author emphasizes the role of routines in work. Having a consistent work schedule trains the mind to be productive at set times. Morning routines, focused work blocks, and planned breaks create a rhythm. This rhythm makes high performance easier and more natural. Self-discipline also means planning and prioritizing. It is not enough to work hard. You must work on the right tasks. The author suggests identifying the most important tasks each day and focusing on them first. This prevents wasted effort on unimportant activities and ensures progress toward major goals. Reliability is another benefit of self-discipline in work. When you consistently complete tasks and meet commitments, people trust you. This trust builds reputation, opens opportunities, and strengthens professional relationships. A disciplined worker stands out not because of luck, but because of consistency. The author also explains the importance of persistence. Some tasks are difficult, boring, or challenging. Motivation alone may fade in these moments. Discipline ensures that even when you feel tired, frustrated, or uninspired, you continue. This persistence separates average performers from high achievers. Self-discipline in work also requires self-reflection. Regularly reviewing your progress helps you identify what works and what does not. Adjusting methods, improving skills, and learning from mistakes ensures growth. Discipline is not rigid. It adapts while maintaining consistency. Another key aspect is energy management. Discipline is easier when your body and mind are healthy. Exercise, sleep, and proper nutrition improve focus, creativity, and decision-making. By maintaining health, you strengthen the ability to stay disciplined at work. Finally, the author reminds readers that self-discipline in work builds confidence. Every completed task is proof of your ability. Each consistent action strengthens your belief in yourself. Over time, this creates a cycle of productivity, growth, and self-trust. Mastering discipline in work prepares you for other areas of life as well. Health, relationships, and personal goals all benefit when your work habits are strong. The next chapter shows how self-discipline can also improve relationships with others. Chapter 11. Self-discipline in relationships. Discipline is not only about work, health, or habits. It also plays a critical role in relationships. Strong, healthy relationships require patience, respect, and consistency. Without discipline, even the best intentions can fail. The author explains that self-discipline in relationships begins with listening. Many conflicts arise because people speak without thinking or fail to pay attention. Discipline allows you to pause, focus, and truly understand the other person. This prevents misunderstandings and builds trust. Another important aspect is emotional control. Emotions can be intense in relationships. Anger, jealousy, and frustration often cause problems. Discipline teaches you to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. Instead of arguing immediately, you learn to take a moment, consider your words, and act with respect. This reduces conflict and strengthens bonds. Consistency is another key factor. Relationships thrive when people are reliable. Showing up for your friends, family, or partner consistently builds trust. Discipline ensures that you do what you promise. Small daily actions, like sending a kind message, helping with chores, or spending quality time, accumulate into strong, lasting relationships. The author also highlights boundaries. Discipline allows you to respect your own limits and the limits of others. It helps you say no when necessary, without guilt. Healthy boundaries prevent resentment and maintain balance in relationships. Patience is another area where discipline is essential. People have flaws, and conflicts are inevitable. Discipline helps you remain calm and tolerant. You learn to give others time to grow and change instead of forcing immediate results. The chapter emphasizes empathy. Self-discipline allows you to pause your own desires and see the world from another's perspective. Empathy strengthens emotional connections. It helps resolve conflicts, support others, and create mutual respect. Another important point is communication. Discipline helps you choose your words carefully. It prevents speaking out of anger or frustration. It encourages honest but kind communication. Over time, disciplined communication becomes natural, improving trust and understanding. The author also mentions self-reflection. Discipline encourages regular evaluation of your behavior in relationships. You ask yourself questions like, did I overreact today? Did I respect others? Did I act in line with my values? This reflection helps you grow and avoid repeating mistakes. Forgiveness is another element of discipline. Holding grudges damages both you and your relationships. Discipline teaches you to forgive, let go of negativity, and move forward. It does not mean accepting bad behavior, but choosing peace over resentment. Finally, the author stresses that disciplined relationships create a positive cycle. When you act with patience, empathy, and consistency, others respond similarly. Trust grows, communication improves, and conflicts decrease. Relationships become a source of strength rather than stress. By practicing self-discipline in relationships, you develop emotional intelligence, reliability, and resilience. These qualities strengthen not only your connections, but also your overall life success. The next chapter focuses on practical tools to strengthen discipline in every area of life. Chapter 12. Tools to strengthen discipline. Discipline is a skill, and like any skill, it can be strengthened with the right tools. The author explains that, while mindset and habits form the foundation, tools help make discipline practical and easier to maintain. One essential tool is planning. Writing down your daily, weekly, and monthly goals gives clarity. When you know exactly what to do and when to do it, the brain does not waste energy deciding. Planning creates structure, reduces stress, and keeps you focused. A simple daily checklist can be enough to start. Marking completed tasks gives a sense of accomplishment, which reinforces discipline. Another powerful tool is time management. Discipline fails when time is wasted. The author suggests using techniques like prioritizing tasks based on importance rather than urgency. Focus on what moves you closer to your long-term goals first. Scheduling specific hours for work, exercise, and personal time ensures consistency. Time management tools like calendars, timers, or digital apps can help you stick to your plan. Accountability is also critical. Share your goals with someone you trust. Check in regularly to report progress. Knowing that someone else is aware of your actions motivates you to stay disciplined. This tool works both in personal and professional life. Tracking progress is another key method. Keep a journal or use apps to monitor your habits. Note successes, failures, and lessons learned. Tracking makes you aware of patterns, strengths, and weaknesses. It also provides motivation because you can see improvement over time. The author emphasizes the power of visual reminders. Post notes, images, or quotes that reflect your goals where you will see them often. These reminders reinforce discipline by keeping your objectives in mind. Even simple visual cues can prevent distraction and guide your choices. Self-reward is another effective tool. Celebrating small wins motivates continued effort. Rewards do not need to be extravagant. A short break, a walk, or a favorite activity can reinforce positive behavior. This tool balances discipline with encouragement, preventing burnout. Another practical tool is habit stacking. Link new habits to existing routines. For example, after brushing your teeth in the morning, do 5 minutes of stretching. After drinking your morning coffee, write down 3 priorities for the day. Stacking habits makes them easier to remember and practice consistently. The author also stresses the importance of removing obstacles. Identify distractions, temptations, or unhealthy environments. Eliminate or reduce them. For instance, uninstall apps that waste time, keep unhealthy snacks out of reach, or create a clean workspace. A supportive environment makes discipline much easier. Technology can be both a tool and a challenge. Use it wisely. Apps for focus, reminders, and tracking can strengthen discipline. Avoid apps or social media that reduce productivity and trigger procrastination. Tools work best when they support your goals, not distract from them. Finally, reflection is a vital tool. End each day reviewing what you achieved and where you struggled. Ask yourself questions. Did I act according to my goals? Did I resist temptations? How can I improve tomorrow? Reflection strengthens awareness, which is the heart of discipline. When combined, these tools, planning, time management, accountability, tracking, visual reminders, self-reward, habit stacking, environment control, technology management, and reflection, create a system that makes discipline practical and sustainable. Tools do not replace willpower, but they enhance it, making it easier to act consistently. The next chapter explores the role of willpower in discipline, showing how inner strength and these tools work together to create lasting success. Chapter 13. The Role of Willpower. Willpower is often seen as the secret to success. The author explains that it is an important part of discipline, but it works best when combined with habits, routines, and mindset. Willpower alone cannot sustain long-term achievement, but it is the inner strength that helps you start and continue when challenges appear. Willpower is like a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes. At first, resisting temptations feels difficult. Over time, each act of self-control strengthens your ability to make the right choices automatically. However, willpower is limited each day. If you rely only on it, you may feel exhausted and give in to distractions. The author emphasizes that willpower works best when supported by systems. Habits reduce the need for constant willpower. Routines make decisions automatic. Tools like planning, reminders, and accountability provide guidance. Willpower is then reserved for the moments when challenges cannot be avoided. Another important point is delaying gratification. Willpower allows you to resist short-term pleasure in favor of long-term benefits. Choosing to study instead of watching TV, eating healthy instead of junk food, or saving money instead of spending impulsively all require willpower. Each time you resist an urge, you strengthen your self-control and reinforce discipline. The author also highlights mental framing. Viewing willpower as a choice rather than a struggle makes it easier to use. Instead of thinking I have to resist, think I choose to act in alignment with my goals. This perspective reduces resistance and makes disciplined actions feel empowering rather than punishing. Stress and fatigue can weaken willpower. When tired or overwhelmed, you are more likely to give in to impulses. The author suggests using strategies to conserve willpower. Plan difficult tasks for times when your energy is highest. Break big challenges into smaller steps. Use routines and habits to automate as much as possible, leaving willpower for critical moments. Willpower is also strengthened by clarity of purpose. When your goals are meaningful, resisting distractions becomes easier. The desire for a better future fuels your inner strength, making disciplined choices feel worthwhile. Without purpose, willpower alone is weak and unreliable. The author warns against relying on willpower for everything. Trying to force all actions through sheer effort leads to burnout. Instead, combine willpower with habits, routines, and tools. Let the system handle most decisions, and use willpower for the moments that truly test your commitment. Self-reflection enhances willpower. Reviewing successes and failures allows you to learn when your willpower is strongest and when it is vulnerable. Adjust strategies accordingly. Celebrate victories to motivate further effort. Finally, the chapter stresses that willpower is not permanent. It fluctuates like energy. Daily acts of discipline conserve it, strengthen it, and build confidence. Over time, disciplined behavior becomes more automatic and less dependent on raw willpower. With willpower understood and managed, you are ready to tackle one of the biggest challenges in discipline: procrastination. The next chapter explains how to overcome procrastination and keep moving forward consistently. Chapter 14: Overcoming Procrastination. Procrastination is one of the biggest obstacles to discipline. It is the act of delaying important tasks for later, often in favor of comfort or distractions. The author explains that procrastination is not a lack of time or ability. It is a lack of control over impulses and emotions. People procrastinate for many reasons. Fear of failure, perfectionism, boredom, or lack of motivation can all contribute. When a task feels difficult or unpleasant, the mind looks for ways to avoid it. Without discipline, avoidance becomes a habit, and small delays grow into large losses over time. The author emphasizes the importance of starting small. You do not need to complete a huge task at once. Even a single step forward breaks the cycle of delay. For example, opening a document, writing one sentence, or reading one page counts as progress. Momentum builds after the first step. Another key strategy is time blocking. Assign specific periods to tasks and commit to working without interruption. When the brain knows that work has a defined start and end, it is easier to focus. Distractions become less tempting because there is a clear structure. The author also suggests using the 5-minute rule. Tell yourself to work on a task for just 5 minutes. Once you start, you often continue beyond the initial 5 minutes. The hardest part of any task is starting. This method makes starting easier and reduces mental resistance. Breaking tasks into smaller parts is essential. Large projects can feel overwhelming and trigger procrastination. Divide the work into manageable chunks and focus on completing one at a time. Each completed part provides a sense of achievement, which fuels further action. Another technique is eliminating distractions. Remove phones, social media, noise, or any environment that encourages delay. The author stresses that controlling your surroundings makes self-discipline more effective. When your environment supports your goals, procrastination is less likely to win. The chapter also highlights the role of accountability. Tell someone about your goals and deadlines. Share progress regularly. Knowing that someone else is aware of your actions increases motivation and reduces procrastination. Rewards are also effective. Give yourself small incentives after completing tasks. This trains the brain to associate productive work with positive feelings. Self-reward should be balanced, encouraging progress without becoming a distraction itself. The author emphasizes mindset as well. Instead of thinking, "I do not want to do this," reframe your thoughts. "I choose to work now because it brings me closer to my goal." Shifting from avoidance to choice strengthens self-control and reduces delay. Finally, self-reflection is critical. At the end of the day, review what was delayed and why. Learn from patterns of procrastination. Adjust routines, habits, or strategies to prevent future delays. When procrastination is managed, productivity increases. Tasks are completed consistently. Momentum grows and discipline becomes stronger. The next chapter focuses on long-term discipline, showing how to maintain these habits and mindset over months and years. Chapter 15. Long-term discipline. Discipline is not only about short-term actions. True success comes from maintaining consistent effort over months and years. The author explains that long-term discipline requires vision, patience, and resilience. Without it, small achievements may fade, and goals remain unfulfilled. One of the key elements is consistency. Daily actions, repeated over time, compound into significant results. Even small habits matter, because they add up. A single healthy meal, one page of writing, or a short workout may seem minor, but over weeks and months, they create visible progress. Long-term discipline is about showing up every day, even when motivation is low. The author also stresses the importance of goal setting. Long-term discipline is easier when clear objectives guide your actions. Break large goals into milestones. Celebrate reaching each milestone. This creates a sense of accomplishment and keeps momentum alive. Without goals, discipline can feel aimless and harder to sustain. Another essential factor is resilience. Challenges, failures, and setbacks are inevitable. Discipline does not mean never failing. It means returning to the path quickly after setbacks. The long-term disciplined person learns from mistakes, adjusts strategies, and continues moving forward. Resilience turns obstacles into lessons rather than excuses. The author highlights the role of adaptability. Life changes over time. Goals evolve. Circumstances shift. Long-term discipline is flexible. It allows you to adjust routines, habits, and methods while keeping core principles intact. Adaptability prevents frustration and ensures sustained progress. Another critical component is self-monitoring. Track habits, achievements, and patterns. Reflection allows awareness of what works and what does not. It helps refine strategies and maintain focus. Long-term discipline grows when actions are consciously evaluated and improved. The chapter also emphasizes the importance of mindset. See discipline as a lifestyle rather than a temporary effort. When discipline becomes part of your identity, consistency becomes natural. You do not act because you must, but because it aligns with who you are. This mindset reduces reliance on willpower and motivation alone. Patience is a central theme. Results take time. The brain and body require repetition to form habits. Skills and achievements require practice. The author reminds readers that long-term discipline is a marathon, not a sprint. Trust in the process and focus on incremental growth. The author also discusses compound effects. Small disciplined actions accumulate exponentially over time. Saving a little money each month, reading daily, or exercising consistently grows into major outcomes. Long-term discipline leverages these small actions to create extraordinary results. Finally, accountability and support systems remain important. Sharing long-term goals with mentors, friends, or communities encourages persistence. Long-term discipline is easier when others help you stay aligned with your vision. Mastering long-term discipline means combining consistency, resilience, adaptability, reflection, mindset, patience, and support. It transforms daily effort into lasting success. With these principles in place, all areas of life, health, work, relationships, and personal growth benefit. The next section concludes the book by summarizing all lessons and emphasizing the ultimate truth. Discipline is freedom. Conclusion. Conclusion. Discipline is freedom. After exploring all aspects of discipline, the author delivers a powerful final message. Discipline is not a restriction, it is freedom. Many people think discipline limits choice or enjoyment. In reality, it gives you control over your life. By acting consistently, making thoughtful choices, and building strong habits, you free yourself from chaos, stress, and wasted potential. The author reminds us that discipline applies to every area of life: health, work, relationships, habits, and personal growth. Each small act of self-control strengthens your mind, body, and character. Over time, these acts compound into a life of achievement, stability, and purpose. Health benefits from discipline. Eating well, exercising, and sleeping consistently create energy and vitality. A strong, disciplined body supports mental clarity, focus, and resilience. When your body is disciplined, it becomes easier to maintain other areas of life. In work and productivity, discipline allows you to focus on what truly matters. Tasks get completed, projects move forward, and goals are achieved. Discipline turns intentions into action, and action into results. It eliminates procrastination, distraction, and wasted effort. In relationships, discipline builds trust, patience, and respect. It allows you to listen carefully, communicate effectively, and respond thoughtfully. Discipline prevents impulsive behavior that damages connections. It creates strong, lasting bonds that support your personal and professional life. The author emphasizes that discipline is developed gradually. It grows from small habits, routines, self-control, willpower, and the use of practical tools. It is strengthened by reflection, accountability, and resilience. Motivation is a helpful spark, but discipline is the engine that keeps life moving forward. Discipline also teaches the power of choice. Every moment offers options. Do you act in line with your goals, or do you give in to comfort and distraction? Discipline allows you to choose the path that leads to growth, fulfillment, and success. This is why discipline is freedom. It frees you from being a slave to impulses, emotions, or circumstances. The author encourages readers to be patient. Mastering discipline is a journey, not a one-time achievement. Start small, build habits, strengthen willpower, and maintain consistency. Celebrate progress, learn from setbacks, and continue moving forward. Every act of discipline, no matter how small, brings you closer to the life you desire. Finally, the book concludes with a call to action. Do not wait for motivation, perfect conditions, or the right time. Start now with small steps, consistent effort, and a clear sense of purpose. Discipline is not a burden. It is the key to freedom in every area of life. By embracing discipline, you gain control over your body, mind, relationships, work, and future. You unlock potential that is otherwise wasted in chaos, procrastination, and poor habits. Discipline gives you the power to shape your destiny. It is not restriction, it is liberation. With this understanding, the journey of self-improvement continues. The more you practice, the stronger you become. Discipline is a lifelong companion, guiding every decision, action, and goal. The ultimate truth is clear. Freedom is found through discipline. If you found this summary helpful and want more audiobook-style book summaries in simple English for a global audience, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next one. By subscribing, you'll get easy-to-follow summaries of personal development, business, psychology, and self-improvement books delivered regularly. Stay disciplined, keep learning, and unlock your full potential. Subscribe now.